Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where this time we're going to do another character review and discussion for Count Dooku this time. One of the more interesting characters from the prequel trilogy, although he may not seem like that on the surface. Count Dooku was first introduced in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and he served as the primary antagonist of that film before being carried over into Revenge of the Sith, where he is ultimately killed off in the first act of the film. And what we learn about Dooku in the films before we get into the expanded material, which definitely adds a lot to his character and his backstory in particular, we know that Count Dooku is a fallen Jedi. He is someone that kind of withdrew from the ways of the Republic and the ways of the Jedi Order. And when we see him in Attack of the Clones, he is kind of spearheading the Confederacy of Independent Systems, working closely with those figureheads such as Newt Gunray and Wat Tambor and other members of the CIS. And he is portrayed as someone that, while he holds a great deal of respect for the Jedi, especially the ones that have been in the Order a long time, that he served alongside or trained with, but we find out later on in that film he is working with Darth Sidious. He is the current Sith apprentice of the Dark Lord himself, and he is a pawn of Palpatine's grand plan to take over the galaxy, despite his own ambitions and his own false promises that he has been led to believe. We do find out through other materials, the Revenge of the Sith novelization especially shines a lot of light on Dooku's character as far as his motivations. We kind of get the impression that Palpatine has led him to believe he will be leading a new army of Sith, and they will be very disciplined and trained in the ways of the Force, to which Dooku believes. Dooku is very sophisticated and believes in order and structure, more so than many Sith throughout the history of the galaxy have actually believed. He looks at Anakin Skywalker as a bit of an abomination because of his mechanical arm, believing he will never have the makings of a truly powerful Sith Lord because he is not 100% human. And in the Clone Wars series, the recent Tales of the Jedi series, as well as the novel about Dooku, which is a fantastic read, we find out that while Dooku was never a truly evil character, he was very arrogant and motivated by his own selfish desires and things that he wanted to see replicated throughout the Jedi Order or throughout the galaxy as a whole. And that made it very easy for Palpatine to manipulate him for his own gain. But at the same token, you have to look at both sides here, because the Jedi Order did kind of push Dooku away, and he was correct about a lot of their misguidedness during the time of the prequels, where they kind of got away from what made the Jedi truly Jedi. And that all really culminated with the death of Qui-Gon Jinn, where Dooku was very frustrated that the Council did not heed his warnings of a Sith Lord returning with much urgency at all, and felt like Qui-Gon's death was ultimately preventable, and in a way caused by the Jedi's blindedness. In many ways, this was the final domino that had to fall to fully push Dooku into the dark side. Now, we do see that he does carry a degree of regret, pain, and sympathy for having to betray the Jedi Order and watching his old friends and companions fall in battle time and time again. We even see that in the film, in Attack of the Clones, where he doesn't look like he really wants to execute the Jedi on Geonosis, but he knows that that's his role and he has to see it through. And unfortunately, at this point in the timeline, he's too far gone. We see in Tales of the Jedi that the death of Jedi Master Yaddle at his own hands meant that Dooku could truly no longer return to that life, and he would fulfill his obligation to the Sith from that point forward. So in the end, Dooku was a misguided soul whose ambition was noble, but he really let his own arrogance, his own pride, his own desires, which ultimately those are the trappings of a Sith, those things overtook him, and he couldn't see that he was merely a pawn in the greater scheme until the very end. So With all of that in mind, we're going to give Count Dooku an 8.8 out of 10. I feel like he is one of the better written characters of the prequel trilogy when you consider all of the lore that has been given to him in many different sources. And while on the surface or upon first watching the movie, he may seem like a villain that is not super noteworthy, kind of a more generic style of villain, doesn't have the visual appeal of someone like a Darth Maul or a General Grievous. But Dooku's story is tragic, and it kind of mirrors Anakin Skywalker's story in a way, as you fall from grace with the Jedi, only to find that you are the pawn in a greater scheme all along. That's going to be it for this video. I appreciate you watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any Star Wars content. Consider becoming a channel member, join the Star Wars United Army, and leave a comment below with your favorite Count Dooku moment or your thoughts on the character. That's going to be it for this time. May the Force be with you. Now let's blow up that like button and go home.